Morning Blues. I'm Laney, you're you, and this is the Monsters Blue Breakfast Show. Oh, we're back. Sorry we weren't here last week. Had a bad sore throat last week, so wasn't able to do my usual. Right. Hope we're all doing okay. So I've not long since woke up, so I'm a bit hope everyone's doing alright and keeping with it. I'm bored out my tree in isolation at the minute. So kind of getting a bit of cabin fever now. But anyway, I'm going to be talking football, internationals, Grealish, and whatever else comes up this morning. So, we're going to start off with internationals. I honestly don't see the point in these daft, in the middle of a season, international matches. I don't care whether it's World Cup qualifiers, Euro qualifiers, friendlies. I think it's a load of rubbish. I think they're a waste of time. I think they risk the players. It's unnecessary, to be quite frank. Yes, last night I know Torres, I think he scored a hat-trick last night for Spain. I know Diaz got a goal. I think he was the last-minute winner. Some other players have been playing well for their countries and what have you, but Sterling's been sent home injured. That's another one we've got on the injury list. It just makes honestly no sense, especially given everyone knows what the fixture list has been like already this year across Europe. And they want to do friendlies in this stupid nations tournament thing. It's just, it just beggars belief to me. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I know you've got the Euros every 2 years, you've got the World Cup, Euros every 4 years, World Cup every 4 years, with 2 year gap between the two. You've got to just do the qualifiers in the summers the year before. Have a summer qualifying tournament or whatever, and get it all done and dusted then. Just, I honestly really don't get it. But that's my opinion. Alison, it's just money, exactly. A lot of money for a lot of shite, to be quite honest. But there we go. Anyway, moving on to the topic of Jack Grealish. He seems to be in the headlines all of a sudden for playing well for club and country, and obviously if there's a player that's playing well, you usually get linked with him. I was asked on, I can't remember if it was at the weekend or whether it was Monday, but asked recently though whether I thought Grealish to City would be a good signing. I really can't stand him, to be quite honest. But whether I can stand the player or not is irrelevant in terms of quality and what we need, etc. I've heard, like I said, we did the poll. Tom put it out to everyone. Out of the ones who voted, 70% said yes to Grealish. So I spent yesterday and I think it was the day before, I was on Monday, Tuesday, trying to figure out why we would want Grealish, why we should sign him. And no matter which, I tried to give him every possible conceivable positive angle. Any negatives, I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt on. And no matter what I did, it still was was a big no, basically. So I've gone through. I've basically taken some of the stuff that we've seen in the media about him, some of the stuff I think about, in terms of his positives and negatives, and I've gone off the comments that you put on the post yesterday. Post I put out. So this is what I've come up with. So in terms of if we were to get Grealish, right, his positioning, he's a central midfielder or a left winger, apparently. In terms of central midfield, we've got Kevin De Bruyne, Phil Foden, Bernardo, and Ilkay Gundogan, who can all play there. I've included Ilkay Gundogan in that, and I'm not a fan of Gundogan. I don't think that's a secret. But he's one of them. It's like, yes, he plays defensive midfield. Next minute, he's playing more central midfield. I've included him just because we don't really seem to know where he plays, and he does get forward and get goals every now and then. So yeah, that's why I've included him in that lineup. And then on the left wing, you've got players like Gabriel Jesus, Raheem Sterling, Ferran Torres, Mahrez. I know Mahrez prefers playing out right and cutting inside, but if he wanted, they can play him on the left. Sterling prefers playing out on the right, but he's been playing on the left recently, so we've got all those players who can play left wing. So that's 8 players. 8 players that can play in his position. And in terms of ability, I don't think anyone can deny that the likes of Bernardo Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, Raheem Sterling, Gabriel Jesus, all ahead of him in terms of ability. Mahrez and Gundogan both seem to be favoured by Pep. And then you got the likes of Bernardo, Phil Foden has been one of our top talents. And we've seen what he can do. And Ferran Torres, who's just joined, he's on top form. So why would you pick Jack Grealish over any of them? I just can't. I can't see why you drop any of them. People have mentioned, his age is 25. I've seen a few people saying, the whole Pep effect thing. I don't know whether the Pep would have much of an effect on him. If you look at his age, yes, he's 25, which is, from our transfer policy kind of thing that Khaldoon mentioned, 25 is sort of the top of the end of the range of players that they want to look at. But if you look at the whole Pep effect, people think about Phil Foden and Raheem Sterling particularly in terms of the impact Pep has had on them as players. Both of them were much younger than 25 when they got introduced to Pep and his ideas of thinking. It seems the older that they are, the less kind of impact on their game it has. Even Bernardo Silva was younger than 25. It's just one of them. I can't see Pep having a massive effect on Grealish in terms of how he coaches him. I think he'd still try and do exactly the same. He's the captain of Aston Villa. Now, we all know we're missing a captain, especially since Vinny left. I certainly don't consider Jack Grealish as captain material. If you look at the players at Aston Villa, what sort of choice do they have in terms of a captain? Grealish is one of their own, and he's come up through their ranks. He's a big Villa fan. He's playing for his boyhood club. It's like Gerrard at Liverpool. All the difference was, Gerrard had a bit more about him in terms of being a captain. I certainly wouldn't put Grealish as captain of anywhere else other than Villa. I don't think he could do the same sort of job. So that again it means nothing to us. And then to quote some comments that we got, I saw the one that was a vision for a pass. So he's known for his passing ability and his creativity. And this is where it gets more technical. So in the last 2 seasons, I included last season and what we've done so far this year. He's played 43 games in total, and he's got 11 assists. Okay? 11 assists in 43 games. Which isn't too bad, especially when you consider it's Aston Villa, blah blah blah. Now you've got Phil Foden, who's played 29. He's got 2 assists. And bearing in mind that, this is just Premier League as well. I know Foden's done more in Champions League and League Cup, but that's where he was getting more game time. He was starting games rather than just coming on as a sub. You then obviously got Kevin De Bruyne, played 41 games, got 23 assists. Gundogan, who played quite a lot as a defensive midfielder, he's got an assist from 35 games. Bernardo Silva's got 7 assists from just 39 games. Ferran Torres, I've included all of his matches this year. He's got 2 assists from just 10 games. And it's something else that they were saying about Grealish as well. People say he's got an eye for goal. So in the 43 games he played, he scored 12 goals. You look at the other players again. Kevin De Bruyne has got 14 goals in the same 2 seasons. Mahrez, who I must admit at one point I was looking, I thought somebody even asked who would I rather have, Mahrez or Grealish, and the instant reaction would be I'd have anybody over Mahrez. Everyone at City basically knows that Mahrez is lazy. We all know he's greedy. That's one of the pet hates. I've always said it myself, and yet Mahrez in the last 2 seasons he's played 38 games. He scored 12 goals and he's assisted 10. So he's played 5 games less than Jack Grealish, and yet he's only 1 assist behind him in numbers. And I think that says it all. A player that everyone is currently raving about and saying how amazing he is, playing for club and country and blah blah blah, and so yeah, we should have him, but he's 1 assist ahead out of 5 games than a player that so many City fans want to see the back of. So in terms of the numbers, he's not really as good as people appear. I think it's a case of the big fish, little pond. Someone else said he's not afraid of a challenge. Now I look at that in terms of the whole. It's no secret. He is the most fouled player in the Premier League. Now, I'll tell you that's a good thing, because if he's the most foul player in the Premier League, I don't really remember the last time Jack Grealish was out injured for any length of time. So it does show he's a bit more durable than most of the City players, because City's injury list is getting ridiculously long. But then our City's injury is more down to do with Pep's coaching style and the way he likes our teams to play. That pressing, it does take a lot more toll on the body. So again, benefit of the doubt, okay, he's a bit more durable. But if you think about teams when City are playing, especially when City are dominating a game, what's the one thing so many other teams turn to try and slow us down? They just hack us to pieces. They break the game down. All these cynical, the silly fouls. They're breaking up the play. City don't want that. City play a nice, free-flowing, attractive passing, they don't want to be doing the set plays. City are not good with the set pieces. We're not great at defending them. We're not great at scoring from them. Whether it's penalties, free kicks, corners, throw-ins, we're crap. Kevin De Bruyne doesn't score free kicks left, right, and centre. He scores the odd one. Got a couple of other players who can score the odd free kick, but we're not exactly. It's not something he's particularly massively known for. He's known for his assists, but they certainly don't come from assisting from a free kick. It's as simple as that. I don't think that kind of play from Grealish, the getting the fouls, I don't think that would work in City's favour at all. I think that would be slowing the game down too much for us, where players can, defensive teams can then just reorganise the lines and keep us out even more. The other thing as well that I've noticed from his challenges, I had to use figures from last season just because, we've only just started this year and whatever. But last season, he committed more fouls than any of the other players I'd mentioned in City squad. Any of those 8 players, he had committed more fouls. In some cases, he committed more than double the fouls. Now again, yes, something we do need is a bit of... I think it was City Dave said we need a bit of a shithousery in the squad. We haven't got that kind of player, but if you think for an attacking player, if you're going forward, you're pressing, and the last thing you want to then be doing is giving away free possession because you're committing fouls. So again, it doesn't really suit the style of play that we have. Oh God, one phrase that really does keep cropping up in his favour is he's English. I honestly couldn't give a fiddler's smeg about whether he's English or not. Who cares? Why is that a good thing? Why is being English a good thing when it comes to being a footballer? It really means absolutely nothing. In terms of this whole homegrown... It keeps coming and going, sorry about that. Why has English got anything to do with it? Honestly, it's... The homegrown status nonsense. We have players within the squad who qualify as homegrown, and if you're under 21, you don't need to be registered. There are players from other countries that class as homegrown. I mean, all you have to do is have a player there for 3 years before he turns 21. Right? It really isn't a big deal that he's English, and if anything, it's a massive negative. You think of he's huge in the media at the minute for playing well. All it takes is for him to have one bad game for England or do one bad thing, and English media will be all over him. We all know what the media in England are like. I've said it time and time again. Look at what they did with Sam Allardyce. Probably one of the best opportunities England had of having a decent manager who could have done something well, and they stitched him up. Purposefully stitched him up and got him sacked. You have Raheem Sterling, player who plays well for England, and again, all over him every chance that they get. I haven't slagging him off just because he had a tattoo on his leg. It's just nonsense. And then obviously we know what the media are like with Man City as well. He's getting praised while he's at Villa. Imagine what he'd be getting if he comes to City. It's just, I don't think it'd affect him as such. I don't think it would affect him as much as it has with other players. But again, the media are fickle and certainly not to be trusted. Going off what the media said, it's no secret he has been playing well for Villa. Again, I think it's a case of big fish, little pond, but he's playing well for Villa. He got man of the match against Belgium. I don't quite understand how he got man of the match. No, I didn't watch the game because I cannot be bothered with internationals, but a club that's just been from what I can gather, we've just been knocked out of the Nations Tournament. We lost the game 2-0, and yet we had a player as man of the match, but we didn't score. So, bit of a weird one. But again, look at other players who were playing well for their club and country and got all the hype. I mean, his current teammate Ross Barkley, when he was at Everton, all the hype and praise he was getting. Look at him now. Jack Rodwell, I'm sure we can all remember how well he was doing back in the day, playing well for club and country, and then he came to City and was just pants. And Maddison, last season at Leicester, we were linked with him strongly for a while, and I've hardly heard his name mentioned this year. You know, so it's one of them. I'm not up with all the hype. And the last bit I'm going to address on the comments that I've read. I can't remember names because there was a few people who said this, but honestly, the ones who did say they should be bloody ashamed of themselves. They all said that he could basically fill David Silva's boots, fill the spot that, you know, he's left behind him. Okay, so Jack Grealish isn't fit enough to even clean David Silva's boots. I think anyone who says he's going to fill David Silva's boots, really, I mean, people say I need my head wobbling. Jesus Christ, to say he could fill David Silva's spot is just an insult. He's nowhere near that quality. He's nowhere near that talent, grace, nothing. That's a big no-no. And again, we've got Phil Foden. People seem to have just written him off almost. Thought of signing Jack Grealish coming to City, and everyone seems to have forgotten about how good Phil Foden is. It's he's got an eye for a pass. He can do the whole. He can score goals. He gets goals. He creates chances, and he loves the club. And he's already here, so he just seems daft. On top of that, there's alleged price tag that Aston Villa have put on him is £80 million. 80 million for Jack Grealish. It really does seem ludicrous and farcical that City would even consider breaking their transfer record for Jack Grealish. You know, utter nonsense. The other thing I think as well, let's just say we did go for him. All I can see in this is another Sean Wright-Phillips kind of transfer. Anyone who's old enough to remember him, Sean Wright-Phillips was effectively our Jack Grealish. You know, he was an absolute stunning player. He came through our ranks, broke into the first team, helped us get promotion to the Premier League and helped us stay there. Literally became the first name on the team sheet every week. Everyone looked to him. He then broke into the England squad when, obviously this is at a time as well when Man City were mediocre at best. You know, we weren't challenging for anything. We certainly weren't title contenders or serious contenders for any trophies, but we were there in the Prem. He got into the England squad. I remember he came on for David Beckham in a game and scored. And Ian Wright was in the commentary box going absolutely wild. And then all of a sudden, the big club came knocking, didn't they? In Chelsea. Splashing the cash. He left. And what did he do at Chelsea? Absolute sweet FA. And I can see Jack Grealish being exactly the same. He's come through Villa's ranks. You know, he's helped them get promotion. He's the club captain. He loves the club. I don't know because again I don't really pay much attention to other teams, but someone was saying he's just signed a new deal at Villa as well not too long ago. So I mean, the thought that he's even gonna look to leaving the club, I think, is a bit daft. But yeah, It's, to me, every conceivable angle. It's just a big no-no. I don't see the point. I really can't see the hype in him. For the price of 80 million as well, I mean, there's better options in Europe. Hussein, is it that Hussein Ouar from Lyon? I mean, he's only 22. You got, is it Fabian at Napoli? He's only 24. Leon Goretzka, I don't think we'd ever get him because he's at Bayern, but he's only 25. You got Federico Bernardeschi at Juve. I think he's a better option if we really wanted that kind of player. Even Mason Mount, if he could be priced from Chelsea, a young lad. If that's the kind of player they want to sign, there are better options out there. I know someone's mentioned Ansu Fati at the minute from Barcelona, but so many people have all just turned around and said, look, we don't need him. What we need is a striker. So, I've had a look at it from all angles. I don't care what I don't care what the media are saying. I don't care. I've tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. There's just no point in signing him. We don't need him. I still, even some of the admins, even some of the admins want him. But again, I say, where's he going to fit into our current squad? I think somebody who was saying yesterday, who said, oh, it'd be a fantastic impact player to come off the bench in European games. Why would Jack Grealish give up first team football and the captaincy, the club he loves, to come and get a few bench appearances for City? But again, that's the bench, and no one could seem to figure out where he'd go. I just think if he came in and, again, he goes in central midfield instead of the likes of Phil Foden, what kind of message does that send to him? Sorry Phil, you're not good enough, can't be bothered waiting for you any longer. If we put him out on the left, that to me suggests then he's going to put Gabriel Jesus up front. We all know Jesus isn't an out-and-out central striker. He's not a proper centre forward. So that just tells me that they're then not going to look at bothering buying a striker if they're going to put Jesus up there. Again, that's another issue that we've done. Honestly, it's just every angle I look at it, it's a big no. And I haven't even looked into his ego, because to me he just seems like an egotistical, spoilt little shit. And yeah, it's one of them. So for me, it's a monstrous no about Jack Grealish. I think it's daft to even consider entertaining the idea of signing him. Better options, most of which are already in our squad as it is. So let's scroll up and start going through these comments. So we've got morning Alison and Adam. Morning Dad from sunny Casablanca. It's always warm in Casablanca. Morning Dan H. Good old Halifax. Morning Neil. So got Bill, Darryl. Morning, thanks for tuning in, guys. So Steve Ashurst. If you're an international manager, you need them. Now, this is regards now to the international games. As an international manager, do you really need them? I mean, why do you, I still don't quite get why you need an international friendly. You know the players you've got at your disposal. What's the point in playing a friendly in the middle of some of these matches? They start off so early in the season. What's the point in doing a friendly in September, October, when the tournament's not going to be for another 8 months? you have your training and you have your training camps and stuff later in the year. I really don't see the point. Sorry. Yeah, Neil's just been saying as well that he's said it for a long time. Get back to the Premier Leagues and players end up injured, and they do. So Steve Ashurst thinks that Grealish deserves the praise if he gets the goals. Yes. Again, he's not got many goals. He's got 12, and I believe he's taken a couple of penalties as well for Villa. I know he's not their main penalty taker, but I do believe he's taken a couple. But again, it's Aston Villa. Who else is there to really score the goals there? Seeing Desi, great player. I'd love him at City. Again, why? Preetham, do we think we've stolen talent from Spain while everyone was buzzing about? Well, with Ferran Torres, yes. I know everyone's been buzzing about Ansu Fati, but I think the thing with Ansu is he's much younger than Ferran Torres. So I think his time, if he is the real deal, that Ansu Fati, I think his time will come, but it all depends on the next few years, I think, whether he makes it or not. It's those crucial years to me, but I think for players between 17 and 21 as to whether they're really going to make it on the big stage or not, in the most part anyway. Torres is an absolute talent, he is. And again, in terms of, if we were to get Grealish and play him wide, then that's Torres losing out. We've heard so much about Jaden Braff. Again, that's him who would be missing out on any possible call-ups to the first team. Sterling hasn't played on the right for ages. Occasionally swaps. The only time he went on the right was when Sane was here. Oh yeah, that's it. Because he does. I know he does prefer. Guardiola prefers to use sort of the inside forwards, doesn't he, that cut in, play him on the opposite flanks, which kind of makes sense because we've no one to cross to, have we? Tottenham away on Saturday, and then away Wednesday night in the Champions League. Yeah, 2 away games again. This isn't the first time this happened. A couple of weeks ago we had like 3 away games all on the bounce, including one in Europe. So again, they haven't been looking properly, I don't think, at these fixture lists. Okay, Shane O'Hara, I'd sign him, but I don't think City will be able to do a deal. I think Aston Villa will want a lot of money, which would price City out of the deal, which I think is a good thing. So Desi Dines would play him over Sterling at the minute out on the left. Sterling's got 22 goals in 40 games compared to Jack Grealish's 12 in 43. It's half of our players aren't playing as well this season. We're certainly not scoring goals like we should be. Jack Grealish, I don't think he's going to change that. I just can't see it, and I can't see why you dropped. Again, I don't know why anyone would drop Sterling just for him. I mean, if you're going to drop Sterling, give Torres the chance. Torres has been scoring the goals. It just doesn't make sense. He's not a £70 million player either. No. I take him, he creates a lot of chances. Second to only De Bruyne in the league. But signing Haaland is more important. Well, again, I tried to look at this from just Grealish on merit with him rather than looking at other players, but we really do need a striker. Everyone knows we need a striker. Why should we be looking at anyone else? Why should we be looking at any other position? I don't care if they crop up. We need a striker. Hey, when City is rumoured with the players named Jack, whether it's Grealish or Wiltshire. Okay. The lads on City Extra were saying, do you think that Mendy's time is up with the injuries? I think it is. I think he should be anyway. We bought him and he was fantastic for the first part of that first season. And then he got that injury and I don't think it's going to be... I don't think it's going to happen, is it? I think he's lost his edge, he's lost his pace. I think he's also knocked his confidence, which I can understand. It's a shame because, you know, he showed a lot of promise, and it's not his fault. You know, it's not like he's not like he's let us down in any way. It's just one of those things. I think he'd be better suited going back to somewhere like Italy or France, where it's not as strenuous, and he might be able to have a good career out of it. So yeah, I'd be getting rid, unfortunately, of Mendy. Yeah, and Preetam's just pretty much said exactly what I did. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Preetam saying about Mahrez. I can't stand Mahrez. I think, like I said, I think he's lazy. But his figures, you know, if he's that's what I said. If he's lazy and greedy, he's, like I said, he's literally one assist behind Jack Grealish over the last 2 seasons, and he's played less games. So, honestly, what does it, you know? Although I would be happy if we sold Mahrez to PSG next year, that'd be quite good. Get some money. So we got Shane O'Hara. I think he's a great player, there isn't any denying, but most City fans know that the new striker is priority. Yeah. Got a wealth of talent, creativity in all positions except for centre forward. Haaland is the number 1 target for me. Goal record speaks for itself. Can't argue with that. Cannot argue. Adam O'Toole, pressing is difficult when combined with the packed fixture list. Well, yeah. Especially with the internationals on top of it as well. Okay, so Preetam just pointed out, I think we have the Haaland Junior in our academy. He's got the height, the pace, strength, hunger, finishing, and he knows the club way better. I guess the player. We presume you mean in the lap from that. Morning, James. See, Paul Nichols has pointed out that he's not on Haaland's level at the minute, and I've mentioned this now to some of the admins. The lap, is he like 16, 17, or he's a young lad. He's not getting the game time at the minute, which our 2 strikers, Aguero and or Jesus, if you count him as a striker, because that's where Pep seems to play him. They were out injured for so long, and during those injuries, the lap didn't get a sniff, and I don't understand why. It's like, give him that chance. Everton were playing Rooney at 16 years old. Liverpool were playing Mike Owen at 16 years old. You know, Sergio Aguero made his first team debut when he was 15. Mario Balotelli made his first team debut when he was 15. You know, and we're getting games. You've got to take that leap of faith every now and then. You've got to give the lad a chance. We're never going to know if he's on Haaland's level unless he's playing. And that's it. Haaland opposite Salzburg, where he was at, and he was playing at 16, 17. So, yes, we might have Delap, and he might be the next thing, but he needs to be playing, otherwise we're never going to know. And he's never going to realise his potential neither. Imagine Delap and Haaland in the team. That would be good. That would be good. Yeah, again, Frank Lane. Forget Jack Grealish. It's a striker we need, and Haaland for me. Danny Elijah. We don't need him anyway, though. We have Foden and Torres. Rick Dickinson. You can't watch much football if you think he'd be a flashing pan. I never said he was. No, I've never said that Grealish isn't a good player. I've tried to avoid the whole sweeping statement on him. I said he's doing great for Villa. Personally, I honestly think Grealish would be absolute garbage anywhere other than Villa. I think he's kind of almost the same thing as... I mean, Steven Gerrard would have been the same. Gerrard was a good player for Liverpool. If he'd have gone anywhere else, I think he'd have been pants, because he was playing for the club that he loved. You know, you play differently. When it's a team, when it's your boyhood club, you play differently. Not through choice, not through a conscious decision. It's just... you're just going to naturally go that extra mile without even realising it. You're going to put everything into every tackle, every pass, every movement. And Grealish does the same for Villa. You know, you can't. You know, he's a good player, but certainly don't want him at City. What we need is a striker who can get us 15 goals a season. So Adam O'Toole, 80 million for a super sub. Behave and put the money into Haaland or a top end left back. Luke Heasom reckons that Mahrez will be the one to drop out. So you'd have Grealish, Sterling, and either Aguero or Jesus. If you think Pep would drop Mahrez for Grealish, then yeah. But again, I'd drop Mahrez for Torres, but that's me. So play or try Aguero and Torres up front on Saturday. That'll be quite interesting. I know we have KDB, but you don't agree we miss a Yaya or old running through the middle like he did so many times. I do. We do miss that player who's just going to get the ball and go forward with it. But, to be honest, I don't think that's the way Pep wants to play anymore. Even when we've had opportunities to break this season, you know, the break has been on, we've been going forward, and we can sort of get so far and then play stops. The break stops and they turn and pass back, and the way City are playing football this year has changed. We've all seen that. We all know Pep has changed the way he's trying to get the game played. Don't know why, but I'd prefer that, like you said, old run-of-the-mill, head down and charge kind of run, but I don't think that's the way Pep would want to play. I agree, Grealish is a Pep player. Well, I don't even know what that means anymore, because I said the way Pep seems to be playing his football is different. And again, if he is a Pep player, well, great. As it stands, Pep's going at the end of the year. So, what does that matter? Because I honestly can't see Grealish signing for us in January. And if he does sign for us in January, it would come at a hefty, you know, it would be a massive fee involved, more than it should be. So, Caleb, and Ian Height up top, give the opposition another problem to think about. Every City fan's been thinking the same, mate. Kyle Edwards, I'd take Giroud all day. Olivier Giroud. It's an interesting point. What do we think of that, guys? Does anybody else take Olivier Giroud? He's at Chelsea now, isn't he? What's this getting Louise back from Villa too? Yeah. Tom Brunt hit the nail on the head. If we're buying anyone from Villa, it's got to be Dougie Louise, isn't it? I think we have a buyback clause in him. Fernandinho's about to hang his boots up. I'll move on. So we'd have Rodri and then Douglas Luiz. I think that'd be two perfect options for that defensive midfield role. I think everyone's missing Yaya despite his despite his dramas off the pitch. He was one hell of a beast. He certainly was, Preetham. So what else we got? Adam Montiel honestly concerns me we could lose likes of Delap to, in a similar way we lost lost Sancho to Dortmund, Bellingham at Birmingham. Pep doesn't seem interested in playing him. No, he doesn't. And we've said this before, Pep doesn't do youth. And that's a huge problem. I think that is where City now need to step forward and move on. We've invested so much money into the academy, and anyone who saw that All or Nothing documentary series, it was always about when they took over, they just wanted to put money into the club and the infrastructure and end up to a point where we weren't having to buy the best players every year or every few years. We weren't going to have to be spending billions of pounds on new players. We were supposed to be using the academy. And as it stands, we're not doing that. We haven't got the manager to do that. I've said it before. What Pep has done has been nothing short of fantastic. And every City fan loves him. And we're all going to be very thankful. And we're never going to forget what he's done. But I really don't think Pep is the man to take this club forward. I think he's done what he can. If he can win the only thing he's not done is win the Champions League, but I'm not bothered about that. I couldn't care less. He's done a top job. He's just shown what we could do with the players we had at our disposal. But he's certainly not the man to rebuild a club, I don't think. He's certainly not got a track history of being able to rebuild a team. And he's certainly not got the track history of being able to use youth players effectively. So I think that is where we need to go next. We need a manager who knows how to use youth players. And I don't just mean the bloody 16, 17-year-olds. I just mean someone who's happy recognising talent in advance. Just look at what Klopp did with Paul Robertson. I don't think it was even 10 million, was it, for him from Hull? And now he's arguably the best left back in the world. So that's where we need to go next. I think that's it for me this morning. Thanks for tuning in. You've heard my opinion now on Grealish. I think we're all in agreement that it has, it's got to be a centre forward we have, basically. It's as simple as that. We need a centre forward. Can't say much more than that. Thanks for watching. There's going to be more podcasts this week coming up. I think there might be one tonight, actually. Obviously, we got Arsenal at weekend. So I've lost track of now of who's playing what with all these internationals. They bore me to tears. But yeah, hopefully Dan Fielden will be back doing his commentary again this weekend. I'll get behind him, have a good laugh. And hopefully Sterling isn't too injured. But we'll soon see what happens with that. So yeah, everyone, stay safe. Take care. As City Dave would always say, City till we die.